This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, very good morning to all. So let me run the server so we can go for class components, right? How the class component. Last session we seen functional components, right? The same functionality, the same behavior we can check with class component. Mean whatever we can do by using a functional component, the same I can do by using class component. So yesterday we implemented some functionalities in a class component, sorry, functional component. The same we will do in a class component. How we can do that? We already discussed the class basics early sessions. I mean class, constructor, this keyword, and the inheritance, extends keyword, nothing but right. So we seen all these things, right? The same concept will be implemented here, Andy. Right now you can see how the class will be created and how the things will be implemented. First, let me run the server cd space projects, cd space react 8 a.m. right, npm start. So meanwhile, let me import my code as well from here. So where is this? Open React step form, not React 8 a.m. Yeah. So what is the class we thing we implemented yesterday? We implemented a welcome component. In the welcome component, we seen this type of stuff. If it is an object, how we can access it. If it is a function, how we can access the function inside this exactly. We seen like this, right? What exactly the functionality we implemented, right? The same we will implement by using a class component now. The same behavior, same functionality. How can we access the data here, right? So now you can go. This is all the JSX I told you right yesterday. Inside HTML, if you want to implement, so we can do something like this, right? So exactly what is this? Now you can see here. First, let me. Is my server is running? Okay, it's still running. Okay. Let me do one thing. I'm going to create one file. I'm going to create one file. This is the file welcome.js. In this we implemented functional component. Let me go to my src folder. I'm going to create a new file. The file name is going to be some sample.js. You can take any name, but it's the file name is not a matter. We can take a file with name called sample.js. I'm hitting enter. So now the file should be created now, right? So we have to create a class component. So what is a class generally? You can see we have already some idea what exactly a class is, right? So we seen earlier the class will be like this, a class, and what is the name of the class? What is the name of the file? Both are same, sample. Class name and the file name should be same only. But in React, every class which we are going to create, that class should extends with the component only. React component class. This is going to be the parent component. Every class, whatever the class you are going to create it, that class should extend with the component. And once the class is created, we have to write export default, and what is the name of the class? Sample, right? The sample we will export it like early we seen, right? So what is our class name here? My class name is going to be sample.js. This is my file, sample sample.js is my file name, s capital. So the name of the file and the class file should be the same. If it is a functional component, how we implemented function welcome, and in this at least one return statement should be there, right? Something should be written here. Without written statement, I think it won't work, right? So exactly, you can write export default, and that is going to be sample. Sorry, not sample, welcome is the component, right? Exactly. So this is what exactly the file. What is the name of the file here? Welcome.js. The same rules and regulations we have to implement here. This is the class component, this is a functional component. See the difference here, right? But I told you, whatever the component it may be, every component should have return statement, right? but it is a class component, it is a functional component. Because it is a functional component, that's why we use a return statement directly. And but at least in a class, what is a class? And class is a collection of properties and methods, right? Remember carefully, in this class we have to take one of the predefined method, and the predefined method is responsible for rendering output. Here we are returning, right? We are returning some JSX to display the output on the screen. JSX is nothing but the HTML. So in that JSX, we will write some HTML and we are displaying on the screen. In the same manner, every component should have one method, and that is a minimalistic method. The every class component, one method. That method is the responsible person for rendering output. And what is the method here? We have a method called render. This is the method we have. This render method should have return statement, and return JSX. It is also going to return some kind of JSX. JSX is nothing but HTML, and don't get confused here. If you want, I will write something like this also. JSX is nothing but we are going to write some HTML, right? So every class have a following skeleton. Render is a predefined method. Render is a lifecycle method of React class component. Later we will talk about lifecycle methods also, and we will get some clarity. Okay, so a class with name sample extends component. Exactly. Now you can see I'm going to create a class component here. What is a class? What is the name of the file you have? The same I'm going to create, and remember carefully. It's very important. Everything should be imported here, Andy, right? The first time. Otherwise, let me do one thing. Let me write from starting. So here first you have to write import React is the main package, right? React from React. Import, we have to load the React library. Comma, actually right now that is not required. Actually we need only component, and component component. We are loading the package. This is the package we are having. So import React every class. But right now React is not required actually says, but we need only component, and component from React actually. But because I used one snippet actually, RCE is a snippet. If I can hit enter, it will create a class component skeleton. Can you see? Every class have a render method. This render method having some return statement. It is giving the dummy skeleton. For example, I have one more shortcut command called RFCE. It will create a functional component for the same sample, and it is having return statement, export default, all are coming automatically. For this, what we can do, so how can we add extension shortcut commands? And here you can click on this and you are able to see extension completely left side. You are able to see my mouse here. So there are 4 boxes are there. Click on it. We can see the extensions here. Already some of the extensions I have installed here. Now you can say I'm searching for React code snippets. I'm going to like this, Andy. So I think I went to this, I believe. I'm going to check this. Please read this. This is I already installed ES7 React Redux GraphQL React Native snippets. This is the thing you have to search, Andy, in the snippets. Now you can see this is what you have. Here you can go, and this is already installed for me, right? That's why I'm not going to install nothing. Here you will get install button, and just install it, right? By I'm getting uninstall. Why? Because I have already installed. Okay, you can do it, but by using these snippets we can do our job very simple manner, and right, so it will becomes easy for us, right? So there are some shortcut commands are there inside of it. By using those shortcut commands we are going to do the job. I think this is the thing I copied, ES7 React Redux snippets. Simply, if you can search this, you will find this plugin install with React. After installing, now you can see. I will just write the command like this, Andy. So by writing the command RFCE, functional component created snippet, and the snippet will be generated. If you can write RCE React class component, now you can see class component is created. But did you see every class should be exported? I'm able to see export 2 times here. Remove the export here, and just you can go with one export, and this is enough. We don't want to take it, right? Can you see now? This is what? No, sir. We can create simply in our own way. Yes, you can write import minimum component required here, because every class is going to be extends. Whatever the class you are going to create, the class should be extended. Class sample is sample extends component, and the component class should be expanded, right? This is done, whatever it may be. So first of all, you can write export default, export default, the name of the class sample, right? We have exported. Semicolon, if you want you can keep it, otherwise, all right. One method, the method is render method, and at least this method should be there in the class component. Remember, here you cannot use function keyword, remember carefully. This is the class component. We already seen in the class component how we have worked with the class component, right? So render method is not required, sorry, the function keyword is not required, and you don't need to use fat arrow syntax also. Const something we will implement now. So const render equal to something like this we will implement, right? So this is not at all required, Andy. It is going to give you an error. Seriously, it's not required. I'm just going like this. Now you can do like this. This is a fat arrow syntax, or else simply you can write only render. So without having any confusion, we will show you both, don't worry. So now you can see I'm just going to, every render method should have return statement. So in a functional component we have return statement. In a class component also, see, every component should render some JSX. So in a class we cannot see directly in a class, we cannot write return statement, right? So can we write return statement directly here? It is impossible. So definitely you have to take a function in a class. Everything is responsible with a function, and so there should be a function. That function is going to be responsible for returning the JSX. Here render is a method. Render is predefined method, it's not user defined. This predefined method only will render the output. So every render method should have return statement, and so now you can go and check this. Here I'm going to write some return statement. Here we can return some HTML, JSX, nothing but, right? So if you want, you can take like this. I'm going to take a div tag open, div tag close. Here let me take, this is a class component. Simply I'm writing like this. This is a class component, exactly. So once class component is ready, then what we will do? So this is ready, and let us take this, and let me take a paragraph tag open close, also some description. I'm just writing some information. Now class component is ready, and now you have to display it, right? Let me go where we have to display. Sample is a component, welcome is a component, test is a component. For all these components, app.js is the root component, right? So you have already welcome component. I don't want this right now, and let me keep them into comment. The welcome component I'm keeping into comment. Let me comment this image also. I'm going to keep the things into comment. So let me add this into the commented section, right? This is how we can add the comments in the React, and you have to, if you want to comment anything in the JSX, you have to take JSX expression. Inside of it, whatever you want to comment, you can write like this. This is code is going to be commented. So now it is commented, right? So then you can remove this also, and you can remove this logo. We are not using anywhere now. Now we commented, right? Otherwise you can comment this also here. Unused, see, you will get a console message, unused vars localhost colon 3000. Just press F12 and you can check this. You will get something called unused vars. Now you can see here logo is defined but never used. So even it is a warning message, but why should I display the warning message in my console? No, my console should be very clean. I don't want to display any warnings, any errors. Always when we are working with React, we have to enable the console, and we need to check if you have any errors or not. So now you can see here I have logo is undefined, never used. So the thing is here, no unused vars. Welcome component is defined but never used. Test is defined but never used. Can you see this type of things are coming, right? That's the reason what I will do here. Whatever the things I have here, I'm commenting it. I'm going to remove it, or else if you need, we can import it again. So it's not a problem, right? So now you can go and check this. I'm refreshing the page. Now if you can refresh, now you can check this. My console is clear, but where is test is defined but never used in index.js. Okay, in index.js also on the day I may be imported. Let me open my index.js and let me check this. What happened to that? Oh, test component is imported, but it is not used anywhere, Andy. So that's why I am removing. So always I want to make my console very clean, Andy. I don't want to make any errors in the console. My console should be very clean. Even though a small warning message also, I want to clean up, right? Okay. Now you can check this. Here. Exactly, we did the sample class component. Okay, once the component is created, we have to import the component to root component, right? Okay, do one thing. Now I'm going to, or else you can do one thing, Andy. This is a welcome component, right? You want to load this component into welcome component? Yes, we can. The welcome component, if we can load into app.js, both the components will become. For example, you can see I'm loading test component, Andy. So I'm not going to do that right now. You can see I just want to show you how can we add one component to other component, that component to app.js. Simply, I'm going to load the component with a name called test only. Now you can hit enter, automatically that is imported, but every component before using that should be imported. So it is imported. Now if you can run the file, what is the output we can get here? This is the test component you are getting. Now you can see inside the test component, you are calling only test component in the app.js. Inside the test component, I want to load sample component only. Now you can see I'm going to take some kind of curly bracket because I want to add many number of lines of HTML code here. Now you can see I'm removing. Let me take a div tag open, div tag close. Yeah, inside. Okay, this is a test component. Nothing difference here. You will get the output. This is test component. Now I have to import sample component also into test component. Why this test component is imported? Test component is imported in app.js. Now you can see I'm just going with the SAMPLE. Sample component is imported inside the test component, right? It is imported on the top of the page also by just writing, and you don't need to do anything. Now you can see I will show you one more time. If you can type here right now SAMPLE sample, some suggestions are coming, right? Hit enter, automatically it will take import on the top of the page. We don't want to write manually that import statement, that is gone. Now you can see the sample component we created that imported into test.js. Test.js is imported into app.js. Now you can see what test.js will do. It will display its output as well as it is going to display the sample. Now the sample is here. Now you can check this. All the information will become. See, this is created in sample component. This was imported into test component. The test component is imported into React component. Simply remember this flow. This is how we will use the components in the real time. So now I want to tell you one more time. Try to see. Right, so we have a file called sample.js. This is the file you have. This is sample.js file is imported. Where it is imported, you can check this. This was imported into test.js. Okay, this test.js is imported in app.js. This is how we are including the concepts, Sunday. So, or else, this is what we did, right? No, sir. What I want to do, I want to go to app.js. In app.js, I want to import test.js. Okay. You want to import test.js. You want to import sample.js inside app.js only. Both the components in one component. But as of now, what we did, we have sample component imported into test component. Test component is imported into app. Now, I want to import both the components in app.js. If you want, you can do it. So then what I want to do, I don't want the component here. Let me remove the component and let me remove that import statement also. So now what I will do, I'm just going save the file. This is the component you have, right? So now you can see in the app.js, you have only test component. In the test component, nothing is there. Just it was empty. It is having its own output. Now you can refresh the page. You will just get the information like this. Now what I will do, let me go to my
Sir, one question, sir.
app.js. Yeah,
Sir,
please.
in sample.js also that is there inside an h1 tag, and we are putting it in like that, right, in an HTML format, correct? Then
Mm.
again, why
Yeah.
in app.js also we are putting it inside the div class, sir? Actually, from sample.js, whatever is returning, right, it is inside a div class only, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. Very nice.
So
It is
why
in a div. It
again?
is in a div, right? So
Yeah, why?
actually, we have one question also in interview. So see how this is going to be nested. Actually, we have div here. Hmm? In the div,
Mhm.
I have h1 tag. Again, this is going to do. Again, this is going to wrap it into a div. Right now, you can see in the DOM also, you can get a div inside a div, div inside a div, and you can go to this component here. This is your root. If you can go to your root div, now you can check this. There
Mhm.
is a app. This is app.js div. If you can go to here, now you can see again two more divs. This is a div from test component. This is a div from sample component. Now you can check this, the same
Mhm.
information and the same information. But divs are required because it is a simply headings, right? Sometimes I have to display some information in a block side by side. Three blocks should come side by side. Block one, some information. Block two, block three. Such a kind of information we have to do. Definitely we have to take a div. The div we have to design, right? Definitely. So we cannot design the element directly. So I want to design something and nothing. What I want to do, I want to show you. Let me show you a template here. This is a template I'm having. Like this, I need four blocks side by side ending. This is a component,
Okay.
this is a component. Definitely, I have to take into a div, I have to take into a div, I have to take into a, all these three divs I can make side by side, right? Definitely, in this point of time, divs are required. So if you don't want to do, we can write some concept called react.fragment. That is also valid. If you don't want to do extra, you can write simply like this also, empty, nothing required. Okay, we can take like
Mm.
this also, but it's mandatory. Wrapping is mandatory with one parent element. This is I'm wrapping
Okay.
with empty. This is also valid. So how can we avoid additional divs? So we are getting many number of divs, right? For every component is sending a div to you, but how can we avoid
Mm.
them? By using fragment. There is a concept called react fragment that we can discuss in the upcoming sessions. Right now, okay, don't worry. Just try to see the flow, how we can add the components, how we can create, how we can add the component to app.js, how we can nest one component to other component. That's valid, but we will see. There is, if this is not required, we can go with the react.fragment also. React.fragment. There is one thing called frag fragment. Fragment should be open, fragment should be closed. Like this also we can do. If just I will show you. Now you can see I'm closing the fragment. Now if you can see, sample component does not display the div to you in the output. And earlier we seen two divs, right? Now you can see this time this is your root and expand the root. You can see app, expand the app. Now you can see these two are not in a div. They are directly placed into app component. But this is having the div and div. Why? Because we didn't write React fragment, right? To avoid
Mm.
additional divs, we will use this concept only that is called React fragment. This, okay, you can check this. If you can write empty also valid, empty fragment also we can take it. It is also valid. Now you can check this. Both will work same as we expected. Now the root element does not contain the thing. Now you can see these two are side by side. This is the div test component. This is our class component, right? To avoid the additional divs, because remember one thing, you have two elements here. Definitely if you have two elements, we need a parent element now. If you can remove this, now you can see if there is no parent element, how can we add multiple elements in one JSX? It is not possible. It is giving you an error. Go and check this.
Right.
You are getting an error,
Mhm.
right? Adjacent JSX elements must have wrapped in an enclosing tag. Do you want a JSX fragment? They are suggesting me, do you want a JSX fragment? I didn't write it, but they are suggesting me. Every every written statement, if it is a single HTML statement, we don't have any problem. Whenever if you are writing group of HTML statement, always remember JSX is a group of HTML statements. If it is a group of HTML statement, every group, I mean, all the groups in one component should be wrapped into one parent element. So it is mandatory. Now you can go and check this. What happened? It got stuck. Okay, so let us roll back it, right? So at least you have to write like this, or else you have to take a do. There should be one parent element. Every, so you are grouping elements, right? There should be one parent element. That's the reason we got an error. Now you can check this. I think you cannot see any error. So we can see the output properly on the screen. Okay, the same, whatever we have implemented early in this welcome component, the same I want to implement here. This is the way of taking variable name in the welcome component. The same I want to take into my class component. And see, just above the render method, so I'm taking a property. You know how can we take a property? Right, this is very important. Check this, we already seen, right? Okay, now I'm writing, this is the class component. Okay, from here I'm going to take some h3 tag. Okay, you can take anything, right? So welcome, I'm writing Mr. something. I'm writing this value directly. Actually, there is a variable. There is a variable, that a variable information should be come here only. So what is the variable name here? You have a variable called name, or else you can take the variable name as username. That username I want to get here. How can I access a class level variable into a function? Can we access? Definitely. Anything. How we access here? Definitely with the help of JSX expression. In the JSX, remember carefully, in the JSX, if you want to write any kind of variable, we have to use JSX expression. So what is JSX expression? Definitely you have to go here and remove this. I'm going to take this as a curly bracket. So how we taken the variable, same variable inside my welcome component, you can see this is a functional component. We taken directly if you want, right? So now you can check this. This is the way earlier we taken all the variables in the welcome component, right? Welcome to something. So the same way can I take here? Remember, I'm going to write this as a username. Now you can check this. It may give you an error. Username is not defined. Username is not defined. I define in a class, right? But why this is giving me an error? The only thing, check this. How can we access the class level variable into a function? I mean, this is a variable which is declared, this is a property which is declared in a class. How can we access the class property into another member? Right? So we know one member into another member. How can we access? By using this keyword. This is the only difference you have, Andy. If it is a class component, you have to use this keyword. If it is a functional component, we can access the same directly. We don't have any restriction here. Directly I access here, right? Class component having the same, whatever the we learned in the basic of classes. Now you can see the same. Now the value is getting dynamically, and this time. Now you can check this. I will change this. Now I'm taking one more variable called city. City equal to, I'm taking something called Bangalore, something like this. And this is what we have, the city. So let me take this city. I'm going to write from city. I'm writing from you have to take it again, right? This dot city and D. This is what exactly you have to do. Now you can see. Now you can see welcome Ram. Oh, is it getting? File is saved or not saved? Save the file. Okay, now you can go and check this. Welcome from Bangalore. So this is how we can get the information, Andy. Class variable, but remember you cannot use constant something, and const class variables, how we have discussed the classes in the early sessions you've seen, right? We cannot take like this, Andy, right? It is not, it is inside a functional component only. In a class component we don't need any identifier to define the variable, and literals, they are not required. Const, let, var are not required in a class component. If it's a functional component we can take them. In a class component we can take these variables directly. Okay, right, we got one clarity. Fine. In the same manner, if we can check this, in the functional component we implemented many things, right? We have function and we have users. Okay, let me take this time users variable. I'm taking the same users variable here. Now we can go to the same. This is a variable I have, right? Same users variable I taken. Where is not required? Remember, this is the part of a class component, right? So right. How can I display this? How can I display this? Now you can go and check this. I'm going to take a h3 or a h4 tag. Now you can check this, right? In real time, you're asking a question. 1 minute, I will check. In real time, do we use class components or functional components? Very good question. But it is up to your choice. Which component you want to use, which component, in which component you are flexible, you can use that. But I know, as of my knowledge, most of the people will use class functional components. Most of the people, because they are very simpler and flexible. If it is a class, little bit confusion will create here. That's why I don't know. Most of the people I observed, they are using functional components. But one thing, whatever you can do by using class, the same I can do by using functional component, right? Definitely we can go for it, Andy, right? Okay, now you can check this. In this point I want to go for this array JSX. If you can write users directly, you can see it is going to be, oh, users is not there. It is giving me an error. Users is not defined. How can I access that variable inside a JSX and D? This is one function. Remember, render is a function, and these are the, how many members are there? Tell me please. Username, city, users, and render. There are 4 members are there. Any member you want to access into other member, definitely you have to use this keyword. Now you can write this keyword and you can just go for the users. Now you can see we're getting the information like this. it's like a one single string. No, I want to split them with a comma separated. Definitely, how can I convert an array into a string? Can you see how an array will be converted into a string by using join method? Now this is the thing. Now earlier you can check this here in the welcome, you may return just join, users dot join, but this time it should be this dot users dot join. Why? Because it is a class component. Join, I'm going to take a comma separated. Now you can check this, values are coming like this. Okay, now you can take an object here. Now I'm taking an object user equal to, I'm taking an object first, first name colon ram. I'm taking something called last name colon, you can take any value here, no problem. URI and city, I'm taking the key colon, right? This is an object, and right, this is an object, exactly, user object. So how can I display the user information here? Now you can come down, I'm going to come here. How can we access the object directly here? Definitely it will give you an error. You cannot access user object directly on the screen, and now you can see what is the output you are getting. User is not defined. Okay, how can I access that variable here? Actually you have to write this dot user now. Remember, we are forgetting every time the class component and functional component, anything. The only thing, you have variables in a functional component, we can access them directly. We have properties declared in a class component. If you want to access class properties into another function, we have to use this keyword. Now you can check this. Here I'm getting some other error, and earlier we have one error, now you are getting now some other error. Objects are not valid as a reactive child. If you mean to render collection of children, use an array instead. Now you can see there is an object. We cannot print object directly on the screen. Array also printed earlier, we seen. Just if you can write this dot users, we are able to see. But objects cannot be printed. Objects cannot be rendered directly on the screen. Then what we need to do? Now I will write this dot user dot first name. Can you see? Now you can see the value is coming, right? Exactly. So now you want to concatenate this. I'm taking the first name and last name. So you can write this dot user dot last name. The only thing, this keyword is appended today because it's a class component. Now I'm going to write from city, this dot user dot city. This is the way of accessing the data in a functional component. So you want to pass, you want to implement some calculation. Yesterday we taken price calculation and some function we taken, right? Can you see? Now I'm creating one function. The function is here, calculat. Calculate discount is the function I'm taking. The same function we taken earlier, right? So this is, I'm creating it as a fat arrow syntax, and this function will accept two values. Let me take this as a price comma discount. I'm taking the values like this. You can check this. The same function is same, but we don't, but you can see the same function we defined. What is the difference you observed here? In front of there is a const keyword, but here const keyword is not required inside a class, just the function only, and written I have to write the logic, and price into discount divided by 100. So we know that this is going to give you the discount. But what I want to do, let me write price minus discount, right? What is this going to give you? After applying discount, what is the total price of the product? What is the total price of the product? This is what exactly the function. How can I call the function here? Now you can see I'm calling the product price is, I'm taking one h4 tag here. Okay, the product price is here. You can write like this: the price of the product, product after the discount, after the discount. So you can call the function directly. How can I call the function directly? Can I call the function directly? Is it possible? We've seen already class basics, right? How can I access one function into another function? Definitely here also you have to use the keyword called this dot calculate discount. This is the function you have to use. To this you have to pass two parameters, and I'm passing 1100 as a price. Discount is going to be 25% discount I'm passing. Now you can see your output will be 825 only. The product after the discount 825 something you are getting. So this is the way of calling, this is the way of creating function. This is the way of accessing the data into things and so all the same what we have seen yesterday, the same functionality we implemented here. I think you observed the difference between the previous session and the current session. How we did in the functional component, how we done in the class component now. Just check the differences and you can try to practice this. Also will give you a very good idea what exactly the difference between these two. All right. So now the next thing I want to show you, how can we iterate the iterate the data, iterate the data. Data in the sense I have array of objects and the array of objects. If you have array of objects, how can we iterate it? By using functional component, by using class component. Both I will show you. Concept is same and nothing difference. But I think you observe right. If it is a functional component, how can I access? If it is a class component, how we can access, right? So this is how we can iterate the data. Array of objects and the data may be, sometimes it may be array of objects, how to iterate it. So the only thing we will use the map method, and before coming tomorrow you guys can check the map method for tomorrow's session. By using this map method, how can we iterate the data of array? If it is a one object, we seen how we access it, this and just one object now. So the one object we access it like this. If we have group of objects, just definitely you have to repeat this into a loop, right? Because it's a group of objects. Just check the map method. Once if you can understand the map method, I think it will become easy. So after the map method is completed, the very important concept is the props and state in Revit. Wherever you go, this is the one concept which is very important. What is a prop and what is a state? We will see how to access props in a function, how to access props in a class, how to access a state in a class, how to access state in functional component. So see, if I am discussing any concept, the concept is available in the functional component, the concept is available in class component as well. So, but the only thing, way of accessing, which one you are flexible. I'm much flexible with the functional component, then I will go for it. No, I'm much flexible with the class component. Definitely you can go for it, Andy. Right. So in the next session, we will discuss these concepts, Andy. These are very important. And map method mostly we will use because always we have to do some iterations, right? When we are doing iterations, map method only we will use inside the JSX.